Δίπλα μου είστε.
Δίπλα μου είστε.
Εγώ.
Όχι εσύ. Κάτω με φωτογραφία καθόμαστε.
Ελάτε εδώ. Σωστές.
It's a better picture. Follow coordination. Thank you. Well, you've already heard me talk, so I'm not going to make a long introduction, but I would like to ask the panelists to make a very brief introduction, maybe except for you, Mr. Galanakis. We just heard you as well.
Yes, thank you.
But if the other four of you could give a very brief introduction about which company you represent.
Sure. Can you hear me? Well,
yes.
Hi, my name is Kyriakos Hadjikyriakou. I'm the Managing Director of Oceanic. I'm working with Oceanic for 21 years. As we explained in the previous presentation, Oceanic provides catering and well-being services to around 2,000 vessels. Very proud to be here because we started working with the Greek shipping community 10 years ago. I'm happy to say that 800 of those vessels are of Greek-related interest.
Yeah. Okay, great. Ms. Demetriou.
Hi, my name is Andromachi Dimitriou. I'm originally from Cyprus, but I'm based now between Greece and Sweden. I'm working for Stena Line the last 2 years as a second officer. I'm studying now for my chief officer license. And I have work experience before on cruise ships and cargo ships. Also have worked in a shore-based position before, and I always prefer to be at sea.
Mr. Lalas.
Thanks, Dave, and Mr. Adonis for the invitation. It's a great pleasure for the first conference in Piraeus, in Athens. My name is Lalas Theodore. I work for Marshall Island Flag Administrator for the last 15 years, mainly for fleet ops matters, but nevertheless for crewing as well. And it's delighted to continue.
Thank you. Mr. Fokas.
Thank you. Good morning to all. Good afternoon, rather. My name is Dimitrios Fokas. I'm the training manager of Angelicoussis Group, so I represent a traditional Greek shipping company. I'm also the chairman of Intertanko Human Element and Shipping Committee, so I will have some feedback from Intertanko as well on the discussions. Thank you.
Okay, well, maybe stay with you, Mr. Fokas, representing one of the ship owners. Has crew welfare become a more prominent issue in organizations in the last years? Or do you feel like it's always been the same? Or is it changed? Or what has changed?
It has been important for the companies for many years. It has changed a bit. In the beginning, I mean, I'm talking about 30 years ago, the main focus was on safety. And now I think that safety records show that we have improved a lot. Statistics about serious accidents, etc., have improved a lot. And also some flags, like the Greek flag, had already for many years specific requirements before MLC and ILO about accommodation, food, support, etc., etc. Now that we have solved these issues with MLC, etc., at least to a great extent, I think now the focus is on not on physical health, but more on mental health, teamwork on board, better communication, harassment and bullying. These are the areas now that connectivity, these are the areas now that we are...
You're following the usual development of needs. First you cover all the basic needs, and now you're getting to the more advanced ones.
Correct. I think as an industry we have improved a lot.
Health, yeah. Okay. Andromachi, do you feel this as a crew member, that there's been a change in focus, or is it the...
Of course, there is a change, and it's always depends also on the standards of each company and the development of each company that they want to see for the crew welfare. Each company has different standards, and they provide crew welfare according to their standards. From my side, now that I'm working for North Europeans, a different side of what I see according to our bridge resource management, except the skills as we have seafarers like technical skills, it's also we are now going through psychometric skills. Our characteristics, what is our privileges as people, as human element only. not also only as a crew on board, as a seafarer. So my opinion is that companies should invest more on seafarers as human elements, and they should value them more as human elements. Each crew member is not costing only 60,000 per year or 70,000 per year. It's an investment for a company, because if you train your crew well, then your crew will maintain the ship better, and they will keep your property as a ship owner in much better condition.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Anyone else wanted to comment on that? Or we'll go to the... Okay, please.
Yeah. Just to say that if we think of the value of the ship and the value of the cargo, we are looking at millions of dollars. And yet we sometimes have seafarers on board who we might show no the needed appreciation in different ways. And one could be, for example, what they eat. If we are interested in what they eat, because if we know that they're eating well, and because I've been in this line of service for 20 years, I've been through a lot of these cases where sometimes I go on. I remember a particular case when I went and they said, "Give me this figure, give me this daily rate, which was below XYZ rate, and I don't care if it's boiled pork and rice." So this attitude, fortunately, it's changing. And I believe MSC 2006, with the subsequent improvements, has been a turning point in realizing the importance of seafarers in the trade and how important they are, because in order to improve the situation, we need to acknowledge that it's it's an important function. And luckily, we realize that, and we are investing a lot in this area. I see the change of many companies which are, I would say some of them are on the forefront of big companies who want to retain their crew, and they appreciate that healthy crew, it's a means for them to grow.
Efficient crew.
Because you have a healthy crew who eats well, eating is a social event. If we have an adequate budget, or if the companies allocate an adequate budget for crew, it's a time of showing that a company shows appreciation for the seafarers of what they do. And I have to say that especially for the chief position, very often this position is not really appreciated. We cannot talk about crew well-being on board without talking about food, without talking about having a competent and well-trained cook who can produce those meals, those healthy meals, because you can supply anything on board, but if you don't have a qualified cook, unfortunately, that food will be tasteless.
You cannot turn it into miracles.
I would like your question, the first part was about if it's an old story, let me say that way, or it's new. It's very old. It goes back to 19th century. We name it here in shipping crew welfare. However, it goes back to the big chapter of psychology, which is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because it starts from the basic, which is the physiology and physiological needs of the person, which is good shelter, food, etc., etc. Then climbs up to the next stage, which is security of the business that the seafarer will have with the ship operator, with the manning agent, with charterers, and the security on board, the conditions of the ship in order to be secure on board and safe. Then goes to love and belongingness, which means that the seafarer wants to talk with the family from the one side. Thus comes the communication that the previous presenter said, and also to belong, to feel that belongs to the ship owner, to the ship manager. This is not just to pay money, the seafarer, and good wage. It's a lot of procedures that will help. And then the next stage is the self-esteem of the seafarer, which comes through the continuous reskilling and upskilling in order to feel confident that he can perform his duties based on his job description on board. And then comes at the last point, the self-actualization, which the seafarer says, I don't want to be a third officer all my life or second officer, I want to become a captain, for example. So if the company gives and invests through training and through careful debriefing reports and finds the areas for improvement for every seafarer, this self-actualization will come to the seafarer. And those seafarers are going to be loyal, you will not have leakages on your pool, and you will have a high retention rates.
Yeah. So you can say that the needs of...
This is a correlation of the Maslow hierarchy of needs to the crew welfare evolution, allow me to say.
Focus on crew welfare has changed from the basic needs to the more personal development needs.
And this is what
By the way, you forgot the bottom level of the hierarchy. It's Wi-Fi.
Yeah, yeah.
And battery power.
No, this has to do with the love and belongingness that they have to have the communication. Yeah.
So we see that, I think...
Can I have a comment as well? Because
yes,
I
please,
think
of course.
we should not leave behind the regulatory point of view in this case. My colleague panelist mentioned about the changes. The changes enforced, I believe, also because as a human nature we need someone to tell us what to do. No doubt about it. And back in 1994, through the United Nations Convention for the Law of the Sea, it was the very first time that we heard about labor. And of course, later on, back in 2006, the first time we heard about the MLC. As a flag, we ratified the MLC because we have seen the benefit of the requirement at that time in 2007. And it took 10 years to be enforced. And through the MLC, we all know that we have seen a lot of changes. Because at the end of the day, there were obligations to follow, obligation for us as a flag state, obligation from the port state. Because Mr. Kyriakos says we represent a very good company, but what about those who need to follow because they are not so good? As Mr. Galanakis mentioned, 20% is only the big companies across the globe.
And those will be the ones who have the hardest time finding, no, not the 20%, but the 80%.
The 80%.
The ones with a hard time finding good crew.
Yeah, no, it's not a rule. And I will tell you why. Because the seafarer, you have to think about how the seafarer thinks. When he's in Philippines, for example, if he will go to a big company and then he's not good, let's say, and his appraisal is bad, then he's finished as a seafarer. Whereas when he will go to a crew manning agent, he will have a second, third, and fourth chance, which this chance is not given by the big companies.
They will just send him to another...
Because for the big companies, usually, and I can put my signature here, the most are numbers, and not seafarers.
Andromachi?
I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. Because it depends on the standards also of each seafarer. There are seafarers that you will give them something and they will just sign their contracts, and there are seafarers who have demands.
Yeah.
Food and resting hours, for me, it's out of discussion because it's really something that is coming from the past years, and I don't think that we are here to discuss about something that is already from a long time ago. We are here to say something new. What is really exhausting for a seafarer from my point of view is that we are serving on board 3 or 4 months or even 6 months, and then we are coming ashore and we are unemployed. No health insurance, no contract, and when you are somewhere, they're asking, where are you working? Nowhere. Because you are disembarking and you have no idea when you are coming back. It happened that you have your tickets for your next contract and something is coming like COVID and you leave this uncertainty. So that's why food and resting hours are really out of the picture. Inside the picture now is the permanent contract, is how many trainings one seafarer can have, how company include the seafarer in the picture, what is going on in the management. A lot of seafarers, they have lack of the picture of their company. They don't know their history. They don't know what is really going on in their company because the based office doesn't include them inside in this picture. They don't know how big is the company, or they don't know how small is the company. I'm not saying to provide financial matters in the crew, but the crew needs to know what is going on inside in the company to provide news. Let's say one way is to make an application for a company, for the insights of what is going on, for the news, to create communities about different and diversity things about of each company, about the policy of the company. That's why, for me, food and resting hours are out of the picture.
You're right, but that speaks to the same development in the needs. But yet, even with that, the latest Seafarer Happiness Index still points out that some people do not have access to clean water, and it's you can shake our heads, but that is reality still. It is not the biggest problem, I agree. But let's shift the subject a little bit and talk a little bit about how technology can contribute to crew welfare. And maybe we start with you. How would the training world is embracing technology? Can it make a change for you and how you provide training to the crew?
Technology has changed a lot. And during COVID, we saw new technologies like WebEx meetings, Zoom meetings, remote meetings, cloud simulators. We have seen all those things now, and they are there, and they will stay there because there are benefits and advantages in using them. However, there is a big risk. The risk is that there is no standard yet on how to use these technologies. And nobody knows when, as a ship manager, when you see a training certificate, for example, of a simulator, you don't know if this was an actual simulator, if it was a cloud simulator, if it was 1 hour in the cloud per officer for that week. You know nothing. That information is not on the certificate because it's not required to be on the certificate. So there's not a level playing field. Now we have decided to requirements from next year about refresher courses for simulator. Everything is there. But still, we are behind in terms of knowing what training is provided out there. And any kind of training can be provided out there. So I have to be very careful. And we need to check, invest, and develop a kind of a standard to ensure level playing field for all our officers when all these technologies are used.
Right. Okay. Any other areas where you feel technology could help? I mean, alleviate the pressure of media, what do you call them, trivial tasks on board the vessels, paperwork, stuff like that?
Like I-forms, for example. You can convert this ISM Word document and Excel document that mainly the most companies possess to develop a software system that will be electronic forms that they can get from sensor data the most information, because if you see the noon report, for example, as well known in shipping, it has more than 150 fields that you have to put data in. So the captain goes every day and does the same job, whereas he can acquire through sensors 120 out of the 150 data, which this can give him more time to be more compliant with all the compliance tools and mechanisms from the charter, from the ship owner, etc., and have better life on board. And some companies have managed to do that, and the seafarers are more happy, and they prefer to go there in the same ship owner instead of going to another with more money and spending more hours on board doing the old-fashioned electronic bureaucracy.
Clerical work.
I think also the technology will assist a lot to the connectivity. We discussed also in the previous panels the importance of connectivity on board the vessel, especially for the ocean-going vessels. And since nowadays the MLC has no written procedures, we have heard about in the previous panel that there are 3 elements in the MLC convention that will be enforced by December 2024, and I believe through this process it will improve also the welfare on board the vessel, but mainly from training perspective. Of course, speaking to the families, no doubt about it.
We all take that for granted, of course.
Can I please add something? In Intertanko, we ran a survey. It will be published next month. It was 6,000 officers that took part in that survey from all nationalities. Okay, it's tanker sector mainly, an LNG sector, but they have a point there. So when the question was, what is most important for you on board? It was together 67% connectivity and mentoring. The human mentoring and mentoring.
Yeah.
That was a big surprise for us because we all think and focus of connectivity as the main issue, but now we see mentoring, and mentoring means what? On board training. Actually, it means social connections. It means that we are human beings on board. So that aspect came up, and it's very important, and we need to address that. Now STCW is under review at IMO. Connectivity has been partly solved at MLC, although there is no standard yet, but mentoring is something new, and we need to address that at the regulatory level as a kind of training that we need to provide to our seafarers. Soft skills in general, mentoring, all those things are important. And this came back from the seafarers. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, and it draws a clear line to what was presented by PwC and Microsoft in what is common sense in big organizations, that you have clarity of goals, you have a sense of purpose, you have coaching and mentoring programs. Mm-hmm. So it will eventually come to shipping and onboard crew as well. Anyone else who wanted to contribute here on the technology? No? Then we could talk about how crew welfare can be elevated in the organization to be seen as a vital strategic and operational priority among decision makers. Is there anything that the crewing departments or the HR departments can do to get more face time or more listening from top management?
Depends on the company.
Depends
on the company culture,
yeah.
And if they're above heads or if they have a multinational structure. Depends on the structure of the company, on the culture of the company also. So this is not it cannot be generalized, I would say.
No, but we've heard several times that this has to come from.
Because some companies, they have the crew department as the last department of their business. Some, they have it the top. So this depends on the mentality of the ship owner or the stakeholders of this ship management company.
You're nodding?
That's absolutely correct. The commitment should come from the company, from the top management.
So does it depend
Otherwise,
on the history of the owner? Is it, if the seafarer is sitting at the top, they know what they're talking about, and then therefore they know the priorities? Or is that if it's financial people, they may not have the same priorities?
No, the financial people are next to the boss.
But looking at the numbers, Mr. Galanakis brought a tremendous topic on the table about the communication between the department and the shipping company. And I'm sure also Mr. Dimitrios is fully aware of that. The operation, the technical, the crew. Who is on top? It's supposed to be someone on top. The owner needs someone of those departments to be on top, or it has to ensure that those segments work together for the common benefit. I think it's still under discussion.
All departments should cooperate. If the line is that we support the seafarer, that means we send spares to the vessel. That means we send good food to the vessel. That means we try to follow the contracts, facilitate the crew changes. So it's everything. All departments cooperate if the line, the policy is to support the seafarer.
Sorry, but there must be somebody point of contact in charge, because you know how things go in the most shipping companies. They throw the potato from one department to the other. So, then they are talking about seafarers, about compliance from the seafarers, and they give problematic let me say, guidance to the seafarers on board, or missing, and then, oh, we forgot, we sent you, how's the new guidance? So I believe always there should be a point of contact and the decision maker that coordinates those departments. Because I have seen from various sizes of companies the same things happening, the same pattern. My opinion.
Yeah, but you could, to a certain point, you're right. I mean, every department has its own priorities and its own objectives of making the ship ready, making the engine run smoothly, making sure fuel is always available. But all of these things have an impact on the life of crew on board. So it's important they work together.
And basically mistakes of the ashore people cause the stress and the problems on board the ship.
Captain Adami said before that we speak of us and them, and I think he mentioned that very clearly. I think we are all a team, and it should be driven definitely from the top, and we can see big companies which are on a growth mode, who they want to retain the seafarers, who want to keep the knowledge that they have built over the years, because you lose one seafarer means you might lose 20, 30 years of experience, which you cannot simply replace with somebody who is a new seafarer. And these companies are also investing they are going out and they're engaging with the families of the seafarers. So we see a lot of cases where now we see engagement. HR departments, they are doing activities for the families, bringing in wives, doing different things. We had an example, just to give an example, last Saturday, a client of ours, 75 wives of seafarers, they came to our training center. We did healthy cooking, we had a nutritionist, we did things like crochet, ideas how to, the wives of the seafarers to start their own business. Aside from aside from understand a little bit more about healthier cooking, healthier and exercise and so forth, but more about how can the wife start something on the side. So we see a lot of big companies that are actually investing in the wider community, especially with the seafarers' families. And this, of course, helps retain your seafarers because they feel that they belong in a family that looks, there is the connectivity.
Mr. Fokas?
Yes, back to what Andromachi said, that when she's ashore, she feels a bit outside the company.
Not anymore, I'm on permanent contract, I'm okay now. Not anymore, I'm okay now.
But part of the support that the company could offer is benefits for the whole duration of the year, not only during the contract, and not only for the seafarers, for the families as well. So then every seafarer would feel somehow secure and that he or she is fully supported from the company always. That's a big advantage. We should focus on that more.
You said before that the potato is going from one. Yeah. I feel the potato now in the middle. So I will say that the crew department, crew management, and the HR department, they should be more involved in seagoing experience. It doesn't matter that you have 10 CVs and you send and you choose 5 from these guys to come on board or women to come on board because you saw on their CV about their experience, or when you had an interview with them, they have all the certificates that they are not going to be expired in 2 years. They have the seaman's book, they have the passport, so we can send them on board. What about their other skills? And also, crew department, the HR department will not work with the seafarers. Captain, chief officer, chief engineer will work with them on board. So I think management from the ship, senior management from the ship, should be more involved with the crew department and with the HR management for hiring process and for evaluating crew members. Because a crew manager, it doesn't mean that he has also, or she has also experience as a seafarer. I don't believe also that you need to be a seafarer to be a crew manager or HR manager. I believe that they should be more involved in the sea life. So they should be more aware what they should take care. Yep. Each seafarer doesn't have only technical skills. They have also other skills because, one example, in my CV it's written that I can drive the lifeboat. yes, I can drive it, but you don't know if I can drive it by myself or with the safety officer, or you don't know what kind of stressful situation I'm going through to drive a lifeboat. So when you will interview me, you have to see also my psychometric personality. So I think seafarers should go through other types of interview, and the HR and crew department should be more involved on the sea skills careers.
They can do the screening of who is qualified, and then somebody else can
The psychometrics help. The psychometrics help.
Yes.
On the sourcing stage, when you find the seafarers, identify who are problematic based on behavior, who are not. Those who are not, you pass them to the next stage of checking the documents, checking the other.
On my last BRM simulation in my company, I was assigned as a captain and as a chief officer in 2 different simulations, and I had a psychometric doctor behind me writing what were my actions. Yeah. And then we had evaluation, and then we talk about it. She had absolutely no idea what was going on, but then she had a special training. She understands what is going on the bridge, and after she asked us, when I say something that she didn't know, she asked me why you said that, and I explained to her. So I think crew members should be valued more as human elements and from psychological side.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Let's see if there are any questions from the audience. I see a couple of hands.
So some comments, not questions actually. So first of all, I have to say that because we are a big company, BSM, so we do respect our people, and we do not dismiss people. We just follow our just culture, and we try to train the people. We do the appraisals on board the ship, and the only reason we do that is to see what kind of training they need, so that when they go home, we offer them this training. So big companies really respect their people, and the way we want the people to be loyal to us, we want to be loyal to them as well. So one thing that we all should know here is that seafarers nowadays, they pay attention to the 3M, meals, money, and mail, communication. I think if we support that, and if we can offer that, we can help people. So we consider the seafarers as part of our family when we run ships, and we pay attention to them the way that we have pay attention to the shore staff as well. We do additional training, the welfare assistance that we offer on board the ships. We pay a lot of attention to the provisions and the nutrition on board, etc., training. And another comment that I wanted to say is that, because I think it was from the second mate, it says that seafarers, they go on board and then they sign off and they don't know what to do. So maybe that happens to small companies, but the big companies, they try to retrain their people. So before they sign off from a ship, they know their next assignment and the time they're going to join. So big companies, I think they have the ability, and they have also the funds available to train their people and retain the people. So we do not, let's say, use the people on board our ships as numbers. I think somebody mentioned that. We pay numbers.
I mentioned why. First of all, you are not like the other companies because you have also the third-party ship management and theory of service. Whereas there are ship owners, Greek ship owners with 50, 60 plus ships that they're not thinking like you because you have also customers, ship owners, as far as I know.
Correct, yes.
So you have the mentality of the service sector too. Those are 2 different things. When I'm talking about big companies, I'm talking about big ship-owning companies that they have a budget for all their fleet, and they don't have the know-how that you have as a third-party ship manager, apart from owning your ships. About the third-party ship manager, I was talking about these companies, not third-party ship managers. Good. Okay, because there's this huge difference and on the culture. And I know many big ship managing companies, don't have to name, of course, for ethical reasons, that they grew fast, And they didn't have the tools that, for example, BSM has for retention, etc., etc. And of course, for them, some people that they go on board and they say, oh, this chief engineer was not good because he didn't raise his hand when he was speaking to me, for example. And you see crazy dismissals, because I have seen such dismissals. I'm not talking out of the blue.
Okay, so thank you for the clarification.
No, the clarification has to do with, you know, in Greece we have the ship owners. In Cyprus you have more third-party ship managers, and you feel different.
Anyhow, I'm here in Greece, so I'm
but
clients,
it's a different mentality, cultural mentality.
Look, I'm not saying that big owning companies are not following like Marangas or the big companies here in Greece. They do the same. I think they spend money, they invest in their people, and they have a good retention. Something about mentoring, because it was mentioned also earlier. So mentoring was always on our ship since ages ago. And I still remember my time when I started as a cadet on Nyarchos vessel. The first day that I joined a vessel, a chief officer came to me and said, Theo, you are going to be my doggess from tomorrow. And I got it wrong at the beginning, but then I realized that I have to follow him for everything he was doing on board the ship, so that I learned. And I still remember his name. His name is Captain Dimitrios from Paros. So mentoring was always there, and it's going to be there as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the comments. Should we ask the gentleman over here?
Any other question?
We have
a few questions from the audience. Can I raise them? Or there
was a gentleman over here.
Who? Was you?
The checkered jacket.
Thank you very much. My name is John Patiniotis from Karaselas. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you something for thought. In ships, as we are in Karaselas, we are also ship owners and ship management company. So all seafarers for us looks like diamonds. Do you understand the meaning of diamonds? How can evaluate a seafarer, either as a deck or engineer or captain or whatever? So it's diamond. Evaluate according to clarity, color, cut, and carat weight. So 4th C. If you transform this 4C to the management, look at this, that is crew, who is capital. Why, as I'm ship owner, to invest more money for this kind of seafarers and not for other kind? The other is, so it's crew, it's capital, it's another one, it's care. What's our care about the seafarers? So, think that each of us of seafarer is a part of a global, hostily investment, as the ship is investment, and not just an item. Give me 4 items, give me 13 items, but I want human. It's a human being. So it's necessary to change our thought, not for the seafarers to be as human beings and not parts. So that's my thought. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And the last C is Karas Hellas, I understand. Thank you. We have some questions from the audience. Let me go to the iPad so that I can read them for you. And with this, we will close our panel discussion. To Andromachi, what is the biggest challenge when on board?
One or many?
One, and the kind of one.
I think the culture and the diversity now that is included on board is a big challenge. the difference between, now I'm working between North and Eastern Europe, and it's a huge difference. I mean, we are both European countries, but it's a huge difference among our culture and our environment. This is one of the biggest challenges to be on board. And that's why I'm saying culture is because it's including everything overall. And it's a different mentality, it's different approach to the job, it's different working hours, and honestly, it's totally different mentality. This is the most...
I asked the question. What do you think companies should be doing in that space? Because I fully agree with what you're saying.
I think companies should just let you be yourself, and they should let you have space to make you feel one. Because I found myself, and I saw also other seafarers, being outside from the bridge team or from the crew. Like you are like 40 people on board and you are feeling just outside. And I saw this happening to other crew members, and I saw this also happening to me. I'm not excluding myself. And I think not only companies, but also the management from the ship, they should just let you be yourself and and the management from the ship, they should invest on your skills. One person can have 5 tasks and they can manage with the 5 tasks. Another person can manage only with 1 task. It doesn't mean that the other person is useless. They have just other key points. The company should find these key points of each person, of each seafarer, and invest on them. And they just let them to be themselves.
Thank you, Andromachi. There is another question for Mr. Fokas. What has Lascaris Shipping learned from COVID in relation to crew welfare?
I'm afraid nothing. Let me expand on that a little bit. During COVID, everything was, whole international commerce was continued thanks to seafarers and thanks to shipping companies. Seafarers never stopped working. While ashore, we had a lot of restrictions. We could work from home. There were flight restrictions, there were terminal restrictions, there were restrictions everywhere. Despite all these restrictions, shipping never stopped, not even for 1 day. And that proved that seafarers are more resilient and more flexible than we think. They proved that in practice during COVID. On the contrary, the rest of us, like terminals, coastal states, anybody else, you just name it, did not prove that they are able to respond to this kind of emergencies. And that's why I say I believe that nothing changed, because if we have COVID again, I hope not, but anything similar next year, it will be the same situation. Nothing really has changed at all. And this has to do with the appreciation that we need to show to the seafarers. And according to that study that I just referred before, Intertanko study, all seafarers feel that their contribution is not as appreciated as it should be. Thank you.
Excellent. David, we are closing for now.
That was it. Well, thank you very much for the contributions up here, and thank you for the questions.
Thanks a lot. Very, very interesting session and important session and panel discussions as well.